Hey everybody, so we are going to go over the MLS search today to find a buyer of property. This is Jeff Lavelle, your fearless leader, going over this with you. So this is going to be a little different than your normal screen here. You can see I do have some office level stuff that you don't have on yours, some other things, but just ignore that. We're going to go into the residential search. The rest of what I have functions the same way as what you have. So go into residential search. Now we're doing a search for a buyer. We don't really care about contingent offer properties or pending properties. These properties are already in contract. Unless somebody were to call you and say, hey, I wanted to find out about this specific property, you would do that search up here in the speed bar. But when you're just going to be setting a search up for your buyer, and this search is going to go to them automatically every day. Every time a property comes up on the market, it's going to email to them automatically without any input from you, which is wonderful. You're going to go in here and just make sure we're only looking for active properties. No one wants to see properties that they're not able to buy. So, well, most people don't. You go to your active search, and let's just say that this person wants to search by, let's say they want to search by zip code. So first things first, let's put in our zip codes, and we're going to say they're going to look in Henderson in the 89052 area. That's here in kind of the Green Valley Ranch part of town. And this is also another possibility here, the area search. You'll see the area search right here. That's another option, kind of as a cluster of different zip codes, and that's found under the MLS area map. So if you want to find out what those areas are, you just look up the MLS area map and it'll show you what those collections of property zip codes are. So going back up here, we've got active selected, single family residence, and zip code. Now our buyer is a good buyer. He said he wants to buy up to 550,000. So we already see that the trailing zeros are going to be put in here for us. So we don't have to worry about that. We're going to put in, though, he wants less than 550,000. So you will see that it has the minus sign or minus symbol at the end there. So it's 550 or less. Just think of it that way. He needs 4 bedrooms or more, though. So 4 bedrooms plus is what we're going to put in there. Now, for example, he said, I don't want more than 5 bedrooms. We would just put in 4, 2, 5. That's how that is done here. Now, if I only put in 4, for example, I'm only going to get properties with 4 bedrooms. I won't get anything greater than that or less than that. So you want to make sure that you know exactly how to put those fields in so that you're not accidentally sending your client the wrong information or not enough information. Same thing is true with 550 or less. If I take out the minus symbol, it will just be homes that are $550,000, period, paragraph, nothing else. So always make sure to put in those qualifiers like your minus symbol or your addition, your plus sign and stuff. Bedrooms and bathrooms, sometimes people are very adamant about how many bathrooms they have in the home. You know, for example, they have teenagers and want to make sure they have enough room for their teenage girls to to shower and get dressed in the morning. You sometimes need more space for that. Or they have kids of opposite gender and they want to make sure that they have their own separate spaces to get ready in the morning. Certainly, then you would want to put in the total number of baths. Now, this does not constitute a change in the 3/4 bathroom or something like that. So if you had somebody that wanted a specific number of full baths, a specific number of 3/4 baths, keep in mind that the 3/4 bath has a sink, a toilet, and a shower. The full bath has a sink, a toilet, a shower, and a bathtub, and the half bathroom has a toilet and a sink. That's how we decide and break those up. So that may or may not be something that's important to your buyer, having the total bathrooms selected. So, but he does want a house that's 2,500 square feet or bigger. So we'll hit the 2,500 plus sign to give us the proper moniker. Okay, so sorry for a little pause here. You're going to see it. Maybe I'm not going to talk about what I was talking about right before this little gap, but we've got it in here, 2,500 or more square feet. We've got, if you see down here, 22 matches. So as the page criteria change, so too will the number of results at the bottom of the screen. So don't click on that little clear button. Always be careful. It's waiting in the background for you. But you can also search, for example, Maybe our buyer says to us, hey, I don't really care about the zip code as much as I really want to be zoned for a specific school. And so you would be able to look in there. They'd give you the school zone, and you'd be able to look in there and determine which school, well, from what they determined they wanted to use, you'd be able to select the school or multiple schools. Anytime in one of these drop-down fields here, or one of these selectable fields, you want to select more than one item, just hit the control button, and then you can select multiple. Same thing for unselecting them. Hold down the control button, and you can click on them and get rid of them or add them. So we're not going to search by school right now. We're just going to go to our results down here at the bottom. So when you click on results, it's going to bring up your properties. Now, you can't see all of them at once. So if you click up at the top where it says 10, 25, 50, you can expand the number of listings that you can see. Now, a couple of these you'll notice, interestingly, have this little unit. Well, why would a single-family residence have a unit? The new home builders oftentimes will use that unit number field to put in the lot number, because that's how they operate in their arena. They have lots, 1 through 100, and they identify them not necessarily by the street address, but by the lot number. So those are usually a pretty big red flag that those are new homes. And if I rank them up here, sort them by the year built, you'll see that yes, they are. They're new home builds, Lot 6 and Lot 5, built in 2018. So from a marketing standpoint, you want to always make sure your buyers are aware that we can help them with new home sales. These are D.R. Horton homes. As you look in the builder manufacturer down here, you'll see that that's who those are built by. So let's go back to our single line view. That's what this is called, our agent single line view section. Now this section can be altered to fit your specific desires. So I have mine set up the way I like it. ML number, property subtype, area, street, status, the address, the unit number, the list price, as you can see, so on and so forth. Now, if you say there's maybe there's a type of buyer you work with a lot, and you have a specific criteria that you are always looking for in their searches, you can just click when it turns into the cross here. If you click on that, it'll bring this window up, and you can use the insert column section to find additional display columns. So for example, let's look in here. Maybe we want to look for the house faces. So we would put that in. We can apply that, and now you'll see that in my search criteria here, my results, it'll show me house faces. Now, this, for example, would be convenient for one of your buyers that says, you know what, the facing of the house, the direction of the house isn't necessarily a huge issue for us, but we really prefer a house that faces north. And so you can go in there and you can look at properties that just face north. I don't necessarily need this one, so what I can also do is I can go in and I can remove column. Oops, what did I just, well, good news is I've already got this saved over here, so I'm going to go to, when I go out of this later on, my old search will be back the way it was. But once you've gotten your search results page the way you want it, you would come up here and click on that orange, now it's orange because it's highlighted, set current display, sort, order, and count per page as my default starting setting. So that'll kind of memorialize and for future use create this as your default settings. Now we've got a result, we've got 22 properties, we're looking at all these 22 properties, and we can see here, we can rank them in list price from low to high, we can rank them in square footage from low to high, we can sort them by the number of properties with pools and without, and you can continue to do that. But let's just dive in here. We're going to click on the ML number. If you click on the property address, it's going to take you to the map. So we don't necessarily want that right now. We want to look at the ML number. So you'll click on the ML number, and it'll bring you to what we call the agent full or agent detail page. Now this page is against the rules to share with anybody other than another real estate agent. And frankly, you don't really have to share this with anybody because they have their own access. So you do not give this page to buyers. Yeah, we don't give this to buyers because it has confidential information down here. Sometimes it has alarm codes, sometimes it has lockbox numbers, the resident phone number, and there's a lot of reasons we don't want to give this to other people. So as you can see here, This is a single-family residence on Soda Butte. Gives you the information up the top is all the ownership information. Then you have the property information in the middle section. This is the agent-to-agent remarks section. Always look through the agent-to-agent remarks. It's going to give you information about the property that may not be shared with everybody else, but is shared with us as real estate agents. Then you come down to the financial, the listing office information, which gives you information about like the HOA, for example. So you'll see the association fees here, association phone number, whether there's a master plan, whether there's an assessment. You can also see whether what the association fee includes. You can see that this one's gated. SIDS and LIDs, this is that special assessment that you probably learned about in real estate school that talks to you about a special or limited improvement district. Those are properties that the builder did not want to foot the cost of the sewer system and the streets and the sidewalks and the cable and the gas lines and all that stuff. So they ended up getting the city or the county or whatever entity that they could agree to, and they would get those people to front the cost of the items that they installed on their behalf. So, and then that's assessed to the individual homeowner and paid over a period of time, oftentimes about 15 years. So that's SIDS and LIDs. Always look out for that. They can sneak up on you. And then, of course, we talk about the earnest money deposit. You know what earnest money deposits are. We get into the type of financing that they'll consider. Just because it doesn't say your buyer's sort of financing in there, if your buyer, for example, this one doesn't say FHA. This probably doesn't say FHA because FHA is prohibited anytime the property has conveyed in the last 90 days. So this is Open Door. They are a company that buys people's properties direct from them, and then they put them back on the market for sale. So this was probably purchased from the previous owner more recently than 90 days, and so it can't be done FHA or cannot accept FHA financing until it's 90 plus 1 days past the date of last conveyance. And it also sometimes you run into issues with how much the property can go up in value between the original sale, which was 91 days ago, for example, between homeowner and Open Door, and what the sales price is with the new buyer, because the bank is very afraid of having holding the bag, so to speak, if this goes south. They don't want to have this property financed to the hilt and then end up with an upside down property or a borrower who can't make their payments. So those are things to keep in mind. It gives you the broker name, the agent information, the contact number for the agent, just all of that relevant stuff, and the all-important co-op. There it is, 3% of the sales price. So anyway, as you go up here, top left corner, you'll see that you have your next. So this is how you would go through between each of the properties to look through them and to see if they're interesting for your buyer. Next, you have the Photos tab. So when you click on this, it'll bring up the photos of the home. You can sort through those. You can come down here and look at them in a smaller format, but in a array. And then you also have your album, so you can do that. It opened up a new tab, which you can't see from where you're at because the screen doesn't go that high. But anyway, so that's that. Then you have your map. This also pops up. It gives you, it says to push control and zoom in. And so you can zoom in and see, oh, well, you know what? My clients told me specifically they did not want to back to a street. Well, Sandy Ridge Avenue is a fairly busy street. So if that's your client's criteria, that one probably isn't going to work for them. So save yourself the trip. Bring it up to your client before you take them out to see the home. And, they probably say, hey, yeah, no, we told you we don't want to see that. So that's great that you looked at it. The history of the property, and another pop-up, another screen opened up. And this screen goes into the history of the property. How recently was the property listed for sale? What escrows did they have? Did they have any escrows? Was it listed before and then came off the market? Those are all important things. So this tells us whether the property has been listed before, as I just said. You can see this one was for sale in 2014. You can see the company that had it listed for sale. You can see that it went active at 424,777. That was on March 19th. On May 4th, they dropped the price down to 419,999, and then they expired back in September. So it means their listing went the 6-month contract or so that they had with their agent was up and over. And you can see that they did not do anything after that. They did not go back on the market until 2016. So they listed the property for $424,900. They stayed active at $424,900, and then they withdrew the property. They were not able to sell it at that point, and they took it off the property. But you see, they changed real estate companies. They also changed real estate agents, because you can see that the public IDs between these two listings also changed. And then the property came on the market on August 15th for $450,000. 2 months later or so, on 10/10, they put the property into contingent status. Then a month later or so, just about a month later, it went from contingent to active again. So it came out of the market and went active one more time. Well, then they got tired of that 11 days later, and they put the property back on. Well, I'm sorry, they reduced the price of the property considerably, about $20,000, and so now they're listed for $429,900. This is useful information when you're out showing a property to a buyer. I'll show you real quick. One of the things. So let's say that we pulled some properties. So let's do this. We're going to go to our agent single line view, as you saw at the top. This is your drop down of the different sorts of reports that you can print. So here's our agent full. Here's our 12 photo. Here's our photo gallery. The history report. So you can see that you can click through these different things and do that. Go through and look at them all and familiarize yourself with what's in there. But let's say we want to go show Soda Butte, Moresca, and Tremont. And so we're going to click on those. Now, those are the only ones I want to print. Or say maybe those are the only ones I want to email. So I'm going to come down here to Refine, right next to Actions. I'm going to click on Narrow. So I get rid of all the properties that I did. Oh, gosh, you know what? I wanted to add one more. I don't, but just for your purposes. So I go back up to here where the narrowed searches and everything are, and I'm going to click on Search Run at 10:59. And look, they're all back. So don't worry, you're not going to delete any of these. You're not going to hurt anybody else's properties or get rid of them or anything like that. So you would go to Narrow, because, again, I do want to narrow down what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to click on Actions again, and I want to print it. I click on Print. Now, for me, when I show properties, I show properties with 3 pages for each home. So you can kill a tree if you're not careful. But I click on Agent Full with tabs. And then I like to bring the listing, the property history, and the tax record for every property I'm showing that day. Each one of those things gives me more insight to the property, so that when I'm there and the client asks me questions about the ownership, or who owns it, or when did they buy it, or what did they buy it for, that information's at a glance for me, and I'm able to talk to them intelligently at the time of the meeting. I then like to click on Print to PDF. It's going to take it a second. It's going to generate the PDF for us. And then you're going to see up here it's 8 pages. Now, even though we have 3 listings, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to have 9 pages, even though I clicked on 3, the listing, the MLS, the listing, the tax record, and the history. The reason for that is because it will use the most of the page that it can. So you can see that part of the history is on this page and part of the tax record, and then that goes to page 3. So it's more efficient in using the pages that it needs to print, which can sometimes break them up, but I like to save paper whenever possible. So you'll see this D.R. Horton property, though, really doesn't have a history. It has 1 entry, that's it, because, again, it's a brand new piece of construction, and so you're not going to see the number of pages that you would if it was listed since 1970. So that's how I do that. I click on Print to PDF, and then I will click on the upper right-hand corner if you're using Chrome to print those to the printer, and then I will staple them together. So I know that those 3 pages are always there at a glance. Now, also, I'm going to go show these 3 houses. So I click on the map, and then I'm going to take my stacks, my my 3 pages per property, my bundles, if you will, and I'm going to be able to look at my map and see where these are all located. And I'm scrolling out so you can get a better idea. Oh, only 2 of them are showing up, so that must mean that 2 of them are right next to each other in our showings here. This allows me to say, okay, well, I've got to show these 2 properties, and my office is here, right where the little hand is. Well, no, that's not right, is it? It's hard with this satellite view. Oh, okay, so our office is over here, right? We're right here. So I will just use this map to say, it makes it easier for me to know which property I'm going to show first. So in terms of distance, this one is closest, and then I would go from the Soda Butte property over to, go away, Soda Butte. It doesn't want to go away. I would go from Soda Butte. Why do I want to go away? That's weird. Frustrating sometimes. You get the idea. That way you can kind of map out, there we go. You can map out your tour for that day. And then what I like to do is right at the top of the page, number 1, number 2, number 3, in the order that I plan to show them. That way if I slam my brakes on and all my listing papers go into the footwell of my car, I can pick them all up, put them all back together, and I don't have to try to figure out based on the agent's incorrect information in their agent-to-agent remarks for the, because they put these directions in here. They're terrible sometimes. They are just so weird. So anyway, label the properties in the order you're going to go see them. So you've got your properties, or maybe you pulled these 3 out, you printed them to show them, and then you're going to email them to your client. So you click on the email at the bottom of the screen. If you missed that, it's right down here, right down there where the actions are. You click on the email, you type in their name here, or create the contact for them, and then you would be able to send that to them. But let's go back to the real reason we're here. We're going to create an automated search. So we've got our search criteria in. We're going to come back up to the top left corner and bring back all of our results, because we're going to let our clients look at these homes and help us decide what they want to see. Most of our clients prefer that control. And I'm going to come down here again to the Actions, Refine, and Save section, and I'm going to click on Save. So now I'm going to create a new auto email. Don't click on New Save Search. Click on New Auto Email. And that's going to bring up the results for you to use for your automated email. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to pick a buyer for this. Oh, I don't have one that I'm going to bother. I don't want to start. Oh, there we go. There's my test account. So test account is my buyer. And you can see this is actually for the matrix system. But otherwise, you click on Create New Contact. You type in all of their information, including an email address. The yellow fields are required. And leave that Enable Reverse Prospecting checked, because what that says is if another real estate agent lists something that fits your client's criteria, and they think your client's going to like it, they can send you an email letting you know specifically about that property. They don't get your client's contact information or anything identifying. Your client just shows up in their search as a random number that was assigned to your client when they were logged in. So don't worry, you're not going to lose your people that way. And then create a subject line. So for example, we'll say this is the Johnsons. So the Johnsons 89052 search is what I might name this one, if it's just one zip code. And then if they have, maybe they have a 1-story search and a 2-story search. I might name this one 1-story 89052. And you can create as many searches as your clients need you to. Sometimes it makes more sense, rather than trying to jumble all of their searches into one and miss some things, because sometimes your search criteria is mutually exclusive. And we can get into that later on, but sometimes, the price of a property in Henderson and the square footage that they're looking for may be different than what they're looking for in Summerlin, because the price per square foot in Summerlin is different. So whereas in Henderson, the Johnsons may say that they're okay with a $500,000 house at 2,500 square foot minimum, they may have to lower their minimum criteria in Summerlin to 1,800 square feet to have options in that area. So it would not make sense for you to have one search covering both communities. It would make more sense to have those communities separated out. And I find that clients are more comfortable when the searches are more distinct. Now, this is your welcome email. They will get this when you send them this email. And then every email they get after that will just say this. And you can edit these welcome emails individually, or you can change those settings overall. You can, like I said, like in our other thing, if you have a general message that you want to create, you can do that here. And then you can come over to the right-hand side where this little gear is, and you can set that as your current message, as your default message moving forward. My signature is auto-populated. That's, of course, up here in the My Matrix settings. So you would go up to My Matrix and then go to Settings and set all your general criteria. And then it comes down and it says your property type, your criteria. So this is the criteria of this particular search. You don't see it being very involved. There's not a lot of criteria put in here. I recommend keeping your criteria fairly neutral. Not neutral, that's a bad word for it. Keeping your criteria fairly broad, especially in markets where there's not a lot for sale. If your client says to you, well, I have to have a house with no carpet. Well, you know, carpet's something we can get rid of. So don't necessarily pigeonhole yourself and limit your search criteria that much by saying that you don't want carpet. Well, let's just replace your carpet. Let's find a house you love and then maybe just get rid of the carpet. Those are conversations to have with your clients. Settings, the only one I really do here is show contact and reverse prospecting. And then I want to send this to my clients ASAP, unless they designate otherwise. Sometimes they aren't necessarily very interested in moving here right away, but they just want a monthly update of what's available in the market. But for our real active buyers, we're going to click Save ASAP. And then when we save that, it's going to start to message them. Now, especially when you're newer, and you may do this always, but it's hard when you've got 15 buyers. But when you're dealing with a small number of buyers, it's smart to be CC yourself. And the reason for that is because you'll get the email that your client gets, and you can jump in there, you know, at a parking lot or coffee or wherever you're at, hopefully prospecting. You can pop on, you can look at the property, and you may go, oh my gosh, this is the house. So you can call them and say, hey, Johnsons, you have got to open your email. We just found the house. So let's meet over there today as soon as possible so we don't lose out on it. So that allows you to kind of keep track and keep tabs of what they're getting, and that way you're not missing out on being that proactive agent. So we'll go back here. That's how you create the auto email. That's one of the things you're going to be doing most often with the MLS, is creating auto emails for people so that they can see properties in a timely manner, in quick order. The other actions down here, let's just cover some of them quickly. So 22 properties, all relatively close to each other within at least the same zip code. If you wanted to find out, for example, what the average sales price in the zip code for that sort of property is, you'd click down here at the bottom, the quick CMA, and it's going to bring you another page, another tab here. And when you scroll down, here it is. So quick stats. We've got a list price of $369 as the minimum, a maximum of $545, and an average of $472. So, well, our median, of course, $476. But that's a really great thing to kind of give your buyers a heads up. Hey, guys, you know, it's going to probably be about $475,000 in Henderson for the home that you're looking for, depending upon, of course, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, pools. There's lots of criteria that goes into it, but those are things to be able to share with them. You can also look at just the stats and stuff over here. Kind of does the same thing, but it's just a little tiny printout, nothing crazy. And then days on market, those sorts of things also show up. We'll go into CMAs on a different day, but just so you kind of have the information, that's the stuff you're going to use most frequently. So if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, one last thing. When you've clicked on your Soda Butte property, you may have a comment from the agent that says something down here about, use showing time to schedule your showings. Right down here at the bottom of the screen, bottom left-hand corner, it says book a showing. And this is going to be through the Showing Time app. You can have the app on your phone. You can have the app just on the computer here like it is in this situation. But that does is it schedules a time for you to see the property, or I should say you schedule a time to show the property with the other agent. I don't like it only because it kind of takes the personal relationship out completely. You know, we're so quick to text and email. Now we don't even have to call to show the home. But that's something to keep in mind. That's where that is. Oh, how could I miss this? Key any. What do the showing descriptions mean? Key any. Key any means there's a lockbox on the property, which you can also corroborate over here where it says lockbox. Lockbox on the property, and you can go anytime you want. There is no restriction as to when you can go see the home. This one also key any. This one, appointment listing agent. So APPTLA, appointment listing agent. See agent to agent remarks. So they want you to come up here and you can see that the contracts must be written on the builder form, and you can read those remarks at your convenience. But that's telling you how to show the property. Again, this one, key any, great, another vacant home. I love vacant homes. This one's listed by Pardee, appointment with the listing agent. So this one is another property for you to go out and see. Let me pull up here. This one, appointment listing agent, warning they have pets. This one says key any. So you get the idea. So you have appointment listing agent, appointment homeowner, appointment tenant. You have key call listing agent, which means there's a key in the lockbox, but you need to call the listing agent first in order to show the property. You have key call owner and key call tenant. Those are the same things. You can go show it with a lockbox, but you've got to make contact with the occupant first. And then, of course, the all favorite key any. So you can show the property at any time without anybody inconveniencing you. Up at the top here, I didn't get to finish these. I apologize. I'm backtracking a little bit. But up at the top, you'll have a link for the virtual tour. Pretty much every property in the MLS has a virtual tour now. You can also report a data error. So if you believe that this person's put in the wrong number of bedrooms or the wrong number of car garage or something else, maybe they didn't note that it was a short sale or something like that, you can come in here, you click on that little yellow flag, and it anonymously reports this to the MLS for them to notify the agent or fine them or just ask them to correct it. So use that. Then, of course, you have your tax record here. So when you click on that, it brings up the tax record. This is the same information that's on the assessor's page. It's just in an easier to read, simpler format for us. We can also search the tax record very conveniently with our MLS system here. Then you have the document section. Sometimes agents will put in documents that you need to view before showing the property. And then they have the AMGNV website. So this would be the website you would use to verify the existence of a SID or LID. You would put the parcel number in, the owner's name or the street name, and then it would give you a list of results to tell you if there were any assessments like a SID or LID on the property. You have the Clark County Tax Assessor. So this is the assessor's page where you can go and see the actual ownership history fairly far back. In this case, it's a Pardee home, so there's no real information there for us. But you can go back several years. Let's see if we can find an old one. There's an older one. We'll go to assessor's page and we'll go to ownership history. This was built in '99. So we can see here that this was built by Lewis Homes, a builder that is no longer in Nevada. They've since sold many times and they're under many other names now. But this property was built in '99. It was built by Lewis Homes. And you can see that this woman, Irma B. Williams, purchased it from them brand new. So there is no ownership history to speak of on that one either. There's more stuff here you can get into. I don't use much of this stuff, so I can't really give you a lot of information on it. But GLVAR has classes all the time to help you learn more about maximizing the potential and the use of what we have in the MLS. So any questions, of course, feel free to let me know. I hope this video was informative and useful. There will be other videos to come, like a CMA, different ways to comp a property, and I hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you soon. Bye.